Hey, hello, how are you? This is Enrique Palafox in Mexico City. I'm here with Dacre Stoker in the United States. Dacre, how are you? Good morning.
Once again, week 9, is it? Yes, we've been at this for 9 weeks, and it's going well. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Oh, wonderful. And this is the ninth week, and things are getting excited. We had a long pause in the narrative, in the real time narrative, but now we are already started again.
Yeah, we will see that it was a pause for the readers, but there was really some action going on behind the scene, which we will discuss shortly. So yeah, there's Jonathan Harker. We can say that the heat is picking up on Jonathan Harker as he's realizing maybe he's never leaving the castle. Looks like the Count is making his move. And we learned something from Mina and Lucy, two important characters. So yeah, excited to start discussing this with you and the viewers today.
Okay, let me translate that. Bienvenidos, semana 9 de Drácula's Place en la lectura de tiempo real. Estoy con Dacre Stoker. Estamos discutiendo la semana 9. Recuerden que las cosas ya empiezan a agarrar un poco de velocidad porque, bueno, hubo una pausa en la lectura, pero bueno, ya se están poniendo calientitas, particularmente para Jonathan. Hey, Dacre, but the pause was only in the real-time reading because in the novel it's very fluid. You manage to go back in time and go forward as you're passing the pages. But in this experiment that we are doing reading, this feels like kind of weird, no?
It does. It's an interesting technique that Bram Stoker used, obviously the epistolary style, because it puts the pressure on the reader to fully understand the dates of the letters, of the journal entries. And again, it's like a puzzle putting everything together. So what we are actually seeing here is we, the reader, understanding an incredible contrast between the horror of what Jonathan Harker is experiencing in Castle Dracula, especially in this reading, when he realizes he finds the Count in his crypt. He tries to do something to him. He realizes his life may be ended. And by the end of this reading, we realize he is expecting his life to be over. This is about as bad as it gets. But at the same time, we are introduced to Lucy and Mina, who, while Jonathan is going through this, their biggest concern is really quite different. And it's Mina is the school teacher. She's finishing her semester. She's also working very hard doing her own self-education. And then sort of a real contrast, poor old Lucy, her biggest concern is she has 3 men that want to marry her. So you have these worlds colliding, so to speak, which makes it a very interesting section of the story.
Wow. Entramos a esta parte de la novela donde Bram juega a ser un rompecabezas y todas las piezas se empiezan a acomodar precisamente mientras vemos este contraste de Jonathan Harker teniendo los horrores de haber descubierto al conde y de que su vida peligra. Por el otro lado vemos la ironía de tener a una Mina y a una Lucy preocupadas por una cotidianidad demasiado banal. Y cómo se van a enfrentar estos dos mundos es que va a ser súper interesante. And this is very important because Bram put them in the past and overlap the time whenever Jonathan is in the castle, so we can understand the problems of the girls, and they are very silly problems because they are, in the day-by-day problems.
Yeah, it's nothing compared to what Jonathan is dealing with. So you have this incredible contrast. For instance, Jonathan is in his room and he hears outside the door, back to your place. Your time is not yet come. Wait, have patience. Tonight is mine. Tomorrow night is yours. And Jonathan realizes that the women in white, the 3 women, are going to finish the job they started with. And so as 3 women are coming to essentially kill Jonathan, Lucy has got 3 men who want to make her their bride. And so it's this sort of a contrast of threes.
It's a balance.
It's a balance, exactly, but very different situations. But to Lucy, it's very, very serious. That's all she's really concerned about. Jonathan, how to survive, how to get out of this, because I want to see my lovely Mina again.
Ya, estamos viendo, bueno, pues unos contrastes sumamente interesantes, porque mientras Jonathan, pues quiere sobrevivir y todo, pues Lucy, pues tiene sus banalidades, ¿no? Sus problemas de, bueno, con quién se va a casar, ¿no? Que finalmente es un equilibrio, porque mientras Jonathan está siendo atacado por 3 mujeres vampiros, pues Lucy, pues tiene este contraste, ¿no? Con 3 hombres que están siendo pretendidas. Entonces, bueno, pues ahí hay un balance. Okay, this is getting so excited.
So there's a term in English, and it's probably the same in Spanish. Mm-hmm. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Mm-hmm. That's the theme of this next section. So translate that theme right now.
Okay, aquí llegamos al punto en que tiempos desesperados te llevan a tomar medidas desesperadas. Y esto es lo que le sucede a Jonathan.
So the desperate nature of what Jonathan is facing, he decides, I've got to go and climb out the window again, go to find where the Count is sleeping and try to destroy him. But I've got to draw something to the viewer's attention at the moment. And that's something that I am convinced Bram Stoker went through as a young boy. It was desperate times that the doctor, his uncle, faced. Bram was very sick and dying for 7 years. And I am convinced that he was bloodlet. That means either cutting him and taking the blood out or putting the leeches on and sucking out the bad blood, which was making Bram sick. And J.D. Barker and I use this in our book Dracula, because I have found that one of Bram's uncles was a very famous fever doctor and did bloodletting and actually wrote an account of what it's like to be bloodlet. So this next section in the story, Bram Stoker actually describes the Count as he finds him in a condition that I think Bram was very similar to. So translate that now before I read this section.
Otra vez regresamos al punto de las influencias de Bram y cómo él se traslapa en el relato, ¿no? Recordemos que Bram era un niño muy enfermizo durante los 7 primeros años de su vida y para entonces la medicina lo que obligaba era que se sacara la mala sangre, entonces por lo tanto se utilizaban estas sanguijuelas para chupar la sangre o se hacían cortaduras, lo que hacía que, bueno, pues Bram tuviera estas sensaciones de que se le iba la vida porque simplemente le quitaban la sangre. Eso lo traspola a su relato, evidentemente, ¿no? Con esta sensación de que le van a quitar la sangre, ¿no? Las vampiras. Entonces, ahí hay una clara relación entre lo que le pasaba a Bram, estas medidas desesperadas, ¿no? Con lo que está sucediendo en el relato. Okay.
So, I'm now going to do some reading, and every time I pause, you translate, so it's done fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. This is Harker arriving in the Count's room, the crypt. And then I saw something which filled my very soul with horror. There lay the Count, but looking as if his youth had been half restored.
Es la parte que entra Jonathan Harker y vuelve al cuarto del conde, lo vuelve a ver y lo empieza a descubrir, insisto, como él se vería, ¿no? En esa situación de la infancia, pero lo ve como va rejuveneciendo, lo cual, bueno, pues habla de que ya hay un regreso de la sangre, ¿ok?
The mouth was redder than ever, for on the lips were gouts of fresh blood, which trickled down from the corners of his mouth and ran down over the chin and the neck.
Entonces empieza a describir cómo aparte de que le regresa la vida al cuerpo, la boca se le pone demasiado roja, lo cual habla de que hay un momento de sangre, porque empieza inclusive a haber escurrimientos en las comisuras de la boca y a partir del mentón. Okay.
It seemed as if the whole awful creature were simply gorged with blood. He lay like a filthy leech exhausted with his repletion.
Aquí otra vez la referencia a las sanguijuelas, ¿no? Porque habla de que hay una analogía entre el conde Drácula y cómo le va quitando la sanguijuela, se va llenando, ¿no? De esta vida, se va llenando al estar drenando la sangre. There is a clear reference to the leeches, yes. Mm-hmm.
And can you imagine a little boy somewhere between 1 year old and 7 years old having these leeches on you, filling up with blood, and how disgusting they look? It's also possible Bram had seen this somewhere else, but I am sure the way he described this, it was from personal experience.
Yeah, definitely.
So what he ends up doing is he tries to kill the Count. And what's very interesting here for our readers is he lifts up a shovel. He realizes that it's going to be over for him. He's got to do desperate measure, and he tries to kill the Count. But the Count, even though he's asleep, he turns and looks, and this horrible nature of what his eyes look like, it deflects Jonathan's focus, and he misses, and he doesn't hit him. It just grazes off his head. So he's unable to kill this guy. Which is interesting, because at this stage of the story, we really don't know the ultimate power of the vampire king, the Count, in what will kill him. Later on, in the Demeter, on board the ship, at nighttime, the first mate tries to stab the Count, but he is like mist.
Banished.
And so what we get is a glancing blow with a shovel doesn't kill him. And also later on, when the first mate tries to stab him, the knife goes through like mist. So we begin to slowly realize how difficult it's going to be to kill this Count.
Ya. Ya entramos a la parte muy interesante de el análisis de cómo nos empezamos a dar cuenta como lectores de la sobrenaturalidad del conde, ¿no? Cuando llega Jonathan y lo quiere matar, a pesar de que está como muerto, se ve ahí, y entonces ya llega Jonathan en un momento de desesperación y lo quiere matar. El conde maneja un movimiento y un intercambio de miradas que hace que Jonathan falle y le pegue en la frente, lo cual hace que bueno, haga muy difícil de matar al conde. Luego, más adelante en el Demeter, vemos una cuchillada que le da a uno de los marinos y él se transforma en neblina, lo cual, bueno, reafirma toda esta sobrenaturalidad del conde y lo complicado que es matarlo, que hasta después será revelado, ¿no? Okay.
So one more statement at the end of this scene. Harker realizes he didn't kill him. It was a big thing to get the courage to kill him, to take a life or to take an undead life, but he doesn't do it. He says, "The last glimpse I had was of the bloated face, blood-stained and fixed with a grin of malice, which would have held its own in the nethermost hell." That's a powerful statement. And then he escapes. He has to run back to his room.
Sí, bueno, aquí Jonathan, después de fallar, ¿no? Todavía se da cuenta que el conde, bueno, pues hay una mirada de furia, ¿no? Retenida, y que, bueno, pues esto se acabó para Jonathan. Esto es el final. Entonces es en ese momento que él tiene que salir corriendo. No hay de otra. Ya simplemente no tiene opción. Okay.
So you think he's going back to his room to seek safety. He says, "I ran to push open the door. I found it was hopelessly fast." He realized I was again a prisoner, and the net of doom was closing around me more closely. So he's now realized it's going to be very hard to get away. His life may be ending. He tried like crazy to kill the Count, but he's realizing it may be over at this point.
Ya es una medida desesperada para Jonathan en este momento, porque bueno, pues ha hecho todo lo posible y se dio cuenta que a pesar de eso, no, es imposible de matar. Entonces, bueno, pues ya no tiene otra más que salir corriendo, ¿no?
So at this point in the story, the Count has left the castle with all of his gypsies and the 50 boxes of dirt. He realizes he's a prisoner, but even worse, he realizes he's alone in the castle with the 3 women in white. And the first thing that comes to his mind is he wants to survive and get back to Mina. He says, they are devils of the pit. This is what he's dealing with, the devils of the pit. I shall not remain alone with them. I shall try to scale the castle wall farther than I have attempted. I shall take some of the gold with me. I'll want it later. I may find a way from this dreadful place. He is desperate. He's going to take a risk to make an escape, even if it kills him.
And at this point, Bram is making a clear statement that Jonathan is dealing with the dark forces. He is dealing with the very supernatural and with demons from the abyss. I mean, it's very clear and very punctual in the reference.
Yeah, when he talks about the devils of the pit, there's no question that this is now, he tried to kill, as he said, he tried to kill this monster, and that, justified somebody, a lawyer killing somebody else. He justified it because it was a monster. So now we have upped the stakes, in this game of chess. This really is, as you said, the supernatural. I need to kill this thing.
Okay. Y entonces, bueno, pues aquí tenemos esta parte de darnos cuenta de la sobrenaturalidad del conde y bueno, pues todo lo que Jonathan tiene que estar lidiando, ¿no? Estamos hablando hace una referencia muy clara a Bram Stoker de los demonios que salen del abismo, ¿no? Del pit. Entonces, precisamente aquí hay una referencia sumamente interesante, ¿no? Con lo demoníaco y con lo que está lidiando Jonathan Harker. Okay.
So, now we move to chapter 5, where we have this backwards time jump about a month and a half backwards to Mina Murray and Lucy Westerner going back and forth in their letters. And what's interesting, I always like to look at why Bram writes things the way he does. And I believe his mother, Charlotte Stoker, was one of the inspirations for this Mina, who was a modern lady. His mother was a very modern lady. She used to get up and speak for social rights for women and people who are deaf and dumb and so on. And so here we now have Mina talking about when we are married to Jonathan, if I can stenograph very well, I can take down what he wants to say in this and write it out for him in a typewriter, which I'm also practicing very hard. So it's showing that she is bettering herself. Normally, these are things that only men would be doing. This is preparing herself to be a useful wife, but also a type of woman that can work in a legal firm, which is very different from the day.
Okay. Aquí ya empiezan otras referencias, ¿no? También interesantes de la vida de Bram, sobre todo con su madre, ¿no? Que era una mujer muy avanzada para la época, defendió derechos humanos y ese tipo de cosas que, bueno, pues es muy de avanzada, ¿no? Para la época en la que vivió. Entonces, aquí en la creación de Mina, pues vemos un reflejo de eso, ¿no? Donde vemos a una Mina muy echada para adelante, muy entonada para hacerse útil, ¿no? Para poder entrar a trabajar a esos lugares como una firma de abogados, ¿no? Okay.
Now, this very next section, once again, is something personal to Bram. And I know this because I was lucky enough to have access to Bram Stoker's own journal. And me and Elizabeth Miller actually published this back in 2012, The Lost Journal of Bram Stoker.
Wow.
He kept this journal for 11 years while he was a young man at Trinity. And so look what he writes about Mina. When I am with you, I shall keep a diary in the same way. I don't mean one of those 2 pages to the week with Sunday squeezed in a corner diary, but a sort of journal which I can write in whenever I feel inclined. That's exactly what this journal is. It's not going to lunch with somebody on a certain day or I have an appointment with a doctor. It's thoughts and ideas to allow the creative juices of Bram's writer soul coming out. And that's exactly what he is suggesting here that Mina is going to do when she's married to Jonathan, to record her thoughts. And that's obviously very helpful for the novel Dracula. We keep a record of what's happening.
Interesante porque Dacre tuvo oportunidad de revisar el diario personal de Bram Stoker, ¿no? que llevaba ¿no? Y eso, bueno, pues tiene un reflejo evidentemente en la novela, ¿no? Donde Mina pretende hacer como todas estas anotaciones, que es otra vez, pues, un espejo de lo que era la vida del autor, ¿no? Okay.
So after Mina's letters to Lucy, we actually see Lucy's now perspective. She's writing to Mina, telling her the most important things in her time is choosing between Jack Seward, Quincy Morris, and Arthur Holmwood to be her husband, which is the right and proper thing that a young lady of her social standing would do. But it's funny how she analyzes people, which kind of shows me how Bram Stoker analyzes people. Talks about Seward. He was curious habit of looking one straight in the face as if trying to read one's thoughts. He tries this on me very much, but I flatter myself he has got a tough nut to crack. Well, this is the psychology of a doctor dealing with mental patients. He understands the psychology of his people, and he's using that. Mina, well, this is certainly to me Bram Stoker and his brother Sir William Thornley Stoker, who not only was a physical doctor, he was also a mental doctor. And he probably did that to Bram many times. The way he looks at me, analyzes me.
Wow, aquí de nueva cuenta volvemos a ver referencias personales de la vida del autor. Vemos como su hermano Thornley tenía, que era doctor, ¿no? Y que lo asesoró muchísimo durante todo el periodo de escritura, que no nada más era doctor físico, sino también era una cuestión que veía la parte mental. Bueno, pues sirve también de contexto para lo que es el análisis que se empieza a poner aparte del doctor Seward, pero bueno, también el análisis que hace de los personajes, ¿no? Okay.
And there's another little piece of analysis that Bram introduces with John Seward. When Lucy says, I told you of him, Dr. John Seward, the lunatic asylum man with the strong jaw and the very good forehead. Now, this is the science of physiognomy that Bram Stoker believed in, and many other people believed. Winston Churchill. Yeah. This was an emerging science that the look of someone's physical characteristics tells you, interprets their character. Yeah. And so he inserts that here as a way of telling Mina that John Seward, Dr. Seward, he's a good guy because he's got a strong jaw and a good forehead.
En ese tiempo, en el tiempo de Bram, se empezaba a descubrir una pseudociencia que se supone que determinaba que de acuerdo a las facciones de una persona se podía determinar qué tipo de persona era o demás. Entonces, aquí regresando a las preocupaciones de Lucy, ¿no? Que está muy preocupada, sus únicos problemas es con quién se va a casar, ¿no? Está viendo y analiza al doctor Seward a partir de sus rasgos faciales, ¿no? Que son muy similares a lo que en la época se decía que correspondían a una persona inteligente y de buenas maneras, ¿no? Entonces, es bien interesante cómo lo que le pasaba a Bram, lo pasaba también a su relato.
And when she describes her meeting with Quincy Morris, the American from Texas, you've got to realize at those times, Bram Stoker wouldn't meet many people from Texas or read about them or watch them on television. But he did go to America 8 times, and he developed a close friendship, as did Henry Irving, with Buffalo Bill Cody. And Cody came over to Scotland and England with his Wild West show. So there's no question in my mind that not only did he model Quincy Morris after him, but also his verbal patterns and his dialect. And he used that very nicely here when this is the funniest way that an American from the West is asking Lucy to marry him. Wouldn't you just hitch up alongside of me and let us go down the long road together, driving in double harness?
Yeah, definitely. Is Buffalo Bill in there. Bram conoció a Buffalo Bill Cody en sus viajes que hizo a América, y bueno, fue una persona muy influyente. De hecho, fueron muy amigos, y Buffalo Bill viajó a Escocia con su show, que era muy importante. Entonces, sin duda alguna, bueno, esta amistad con Bram es una referencia importantísima para la creación de Quincy Morris, ¿no? Entonces, en la manera en que Quincy se dirige a Lucy, bueno, pues con esta situación como que irse montando hacia el horizonte, ¿no? Que es como muy de lo que hablaría Buffalo Bill, ¿no? Entonces, otra vez una referencia más de la vida del autor en la obra. Okay.
So really that kind of winds down this chapter. It is, as we said at the beginning, a contrast in the life of what each of these characters are going through. But most importantly to me, it allows Bram Stoker to fill in the backstory, to show the relationship between these two girls and how they are very contrasted themselves. And also both of them contrast the horror of Jonathan Harker, of what he's gone through. And we realize that the Count is on his way to, with the boxes of dirt. We don't know exactly where that's going to lead us yet. And we know that Jonathan is he's desperate. He's going to do his best to get out of the castle while these ladies get on with their life. And Lucy makes her biggest decision, which is to marry one of these three guys.
Y entonces hacia el final de la semana lo que vimos es este contraste, ¿no? Donde, bueno, Jonathan pues necesita salir desesperado, corriendo de los horrores, mientras que las chicas pues están preocupadas de su día a día, ¿no? Y con quién se van a casar. Pero bueno, pues lo que va a empezar a suceder ahora en el relato es que se empiezan a intercalar estas dos líneas de tiempo. Ok.
Now, don't forget, it was a great section. And we just have to remind all our viewers not to forget to visit the Dracula store, because I noticed you put up some really cool new things. And tell us about the phone covers, the stickers, some of the new designs that you've put in the Dracula store.
I mean, it was a simple idea to have these original designs that we are creating by this wonderful creative team that we are, and put it in stickers, because I'm a fan to have branded all over my things with my passions. So that's basically the idea, to have Dracula, this beautiful logo, which is very, very useful, because it's very classic. I really love it, the original one, and to have it put it in all places with the bat, which was an idea of yours. I mean, it's amazing. So I'm very happy of this kind of new designs that we are uploading into the store.
And just before you translate, we now have Bram Stoker, the bobblehead, in the store. And it's very cool. If you look at, he's actually got his name here, obviously holding a book. And he really is a bobblehead, as you can see.
So translate. It's amazing. I mean, now that you put it in the site, yeah, the resemblance is amazing. I love it.
So translate.
Aquí cosas interesantes ya en la página, en la tienda de Drácula, en la tienda original de Drácula. Ahí ya van a empezar a ver nuevos diseños que hemos estado sube, ¿no? Cosas que hemos diseñado. Por ejemplo, ahorita ya hay stickers, ¿no? Hay stickers y cosas bien interesantes, como este bobblehead, que a mí en lo particular me encanta. Tiene la figura de Bram Stoker, además agarrando su libro de Drácula, que a mí en lo personal me vuelve loco, ¿no? Y bueno, pues es un bobblehead increíble que también ya lo pueden adquirir a través de Dracula Store. Entonces, pasen, visítenos, porque además, bueno, pues vienen momentos muy interesantes y cada vez más iremos subiendo cosas muy interesantes. How about the color changing mugs? Have you one of them?
They're back. Yeah. You know, the thing is, they're really cool. And luckily, with the situation in the world getting better, and our mugs are now accessible again, I think next week what we need to do is I have to get some hot water, and right in front of the screen we'll pour it into the color changing mug so you can see it, and let our fans see how they emerge out of the mist, which is so cool.
Yeah, Dracula, the Dracula powers of darkness in one cup of coffee.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay, we'll see you all next week.
See you soon, thank you. Pues bueno, pues rápidamente pasen a visitar la tienda de Drácula, insisto, nuevas cosas, hay unas tazas que ya regresaron, y bueno, pues las cosas están regresando a la normalidad, entonces bueno, nos vemos la siguiente semana, muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros, hasta pronto.